And welcome to the LMS Show. Give yourselves a big hand. Bringing it back to the motherland. Say it proud. I'm black and I'm proud, baby. That's what we used to do back in the 60s, right? Yeah. How do we jump off the wagon? How do we fall off the wagon completely? Well, we welcome you back to the LMS Show. We're going to put you back on the wagon. I have a young lady here. I met her right here, the sisters. And she came with her mom. And what is your name, my friend?
My name is Kayla.
Kayla. And your mother's name?
Lakeisha Baker.
Tell us a bit about your mom.
She's an amazing mother. She helps me through all of my rough times. She's always there for me, and I just love her so much.
I was going to ask you something else. I was reading the book, and I want to go further. Your mother about your grandmother. Do you love your grandmother?
Yes, very much.
And your uncle too?
Yes.
They're in the book. But your mother helped you, and your dad. What part your dad played in? This is very important. I want you all to listen to this. Go ahead.
He played a very important part in my life. I'm just happy like he's there for me because there are a lot of kids who, sadly, their fathers are not there for them, and he's supportive.
That means that if they're deceased, that's another story. But you had someone walking with I said, 2 eyes, a nose, and a mouth, and a wicked tap, right? And then around. He helps you out a lot too. He helps you and your mom a lot. So you won't see them down there, 60 Lafayette Street, folks. I'm sorry to put some of them folks out of business, but you won't see them down there. Sorry. I want you to introduce your mom for me.
Okay. Give it up for the most amazing woman in the world that I love so very much, Lakeisha Nicole Baker.
Hey, take it down. You go up that hanging on the elevator. Take it down. I got a book. I got a book. I got a book. And it's about Diamond in the Rough. Diamond in the Rough. By an amazing lady. Oh, I just love her. Through all, she still got everybody that Southern charm. Let's say it again. She still got that Southern. Come on. She still got that Southern charm. Ladies and gentlemen, let's give it up for Lakeisha and Baker! Yeah. How are you?
I'm noticing these days. I'm living in my, what do they say? Living in your glory or living in your best days. I feel like after this book, that was when I started to actually live.
My brother and my grandma, the two people in whom I have invested the most, have caused me the highest level of stress and depression. Yet before now, I have never understood how to turn off that switch. Is that true?
That's true. 100%
You mentioned I am tired of crying. I'm tired of yelling. I'm tired of being sad. I'm tired of pretending. I'm just tired of feeling crazy. How do they drive you crazy?
It's the amount of dependency. I have enabled them. I played a huge role in it because one of the things that I can say is not having parents. You know, my grandmother was my soul. Like, she was my go-to. She was my, the person who cared for me. My brother was the only person that, we were raised together. So
you pledged to your mother that you were going to take care of both your brother and your grandmother.
Well, my brother. Mm-hmm. I definitely, those were her last words to me on our commute to the hospital. we had, held hands, and those were her last words to me. And, it was so strong and so powerful, I guess, because those were the last words that I hung on to make sure he was okay. And I mentioned in the book as well that I would say maybe in a child's mind, it could have been like the day before, but maybe like within a month before she passed away, I remember a conversation that took place where my mom said that if anything was to happen to me, please don't let my kids go with my mom and move to New York. And those were the two things that my aunt didn't have any, because she was actually having a conversation with my aunt. But those were the only two things that she didn't have any control over. So we are in New York, raised by my grandmother, and again, my brother, that was like the promise that I made to my mom. But he was just on like a path of destruction. And me, saying I promised to make sure that he was okay, that meant anytime he went to jail, I was there, being supportive. And sometimes being too supportive and catching someone before they fall can enable them, and they won't learn the lesson that they're supposed to learn.
You lost your mother tragically. Tell us that about that, a little bit.
When I was 9, I heard some noise going on in the living room, and my brother, he told me, mommy's crying. It was probably about 6 o'clock in the morning, and he says, I'm gonna jump out of the window, go get help. And me, I was one of those kids that would always like walk around, my parents always fought. And I got up, went in the went in the kitchen, and I saw this man in his boxers, and he was hitting my mom. And she was pinned up against the kitchen door, and the chain on the door was jammed. But she was, defending herself, and this guy was hitting her. And, because I was always in that position, I don't know, as a child, I don't know why I thought I could help, but I just screamed, like, what are you doing to my mom? And the guy turned and he stabbed me right under my heart, like 2 inches under my heart. And something happened, and I think God stepped in, because my mom gained the strength to turn with this man in between the both of us, and he was like this bodybuilder. And she turned, got the chain off the door, and she reached behind him, grabbed me and under her arm, and she jumped off the back porch, and then we ran for help. And again, I didn't know what was going on. I think in my mind I had high hopes that this was just like a dream, a nightmare that I would wake up from. But that was the last time I actually saw her on our ambulance ride to the hospital. She lost a lot of blood. She was stabbed 28 times. Actually, because I'm thinking that he was hitting her, he actually was stabbing her. So he stabbed her 28 times. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Yes. So I would
During
say.
that time, you didn't know that when you were in the hospital that she passed away, right?
No. They were collecting blood. So there were a lot of people that were coming in giving blood, because she needed a blood transfusion from having lost a lot of blood. But because I was trying to heal and I had to kind of learn to walk again, I don't think that, like in hindsight now looking at it, I don't think that they wanted to somehow derail my health, my healing.
Right.
Being affected by what was going on. It's like as a child sometimes they feel like, or I've always heard it, a child should be seen and not heard.
Yes.
But, I can sense something was wrong because my teachers used to come in, and, I had a lot of support with, the family coming in, and every night someone would be there staying the night with me. But it wasn't until my teacher came in one day, and he had this huge trophy that he just won from, I think, like a volleyball game or something like that, and he was like, this is for you, and I was just like, and then my aunt had already told me, she says, if you continue to walk and get on your feet, you're going to see your mom soon. But again, it's like I would hear this, and that would give me the motivation that I needed to, get on my feet, because I knew that once I got better, I was going to be able to walk down to her room. And I saw my aunt like that, it was just like the mood. It was a different mood. She came in, and she's, they all had, the adults, they tried to show face for me, but it showed through. So my teacher was there with this trophy. He's giving it to me. My aunt is there. Her whole face just showed that something was wrong. And they kind of kept it going. They kept it going or whatever until they finally told me that she didn't make it. And that was so heartbreaking, because I, as a child, I just feel like no one in the world could make me feel good or make a child feel the way they're supposed to, other than their mom. No doctors, that was my own thinking. Like, yes, I'm still hurting. You said you fixed me, but I'm still hurting. I'm still in pain. Yes, I'm, learning how to walk slowly. I'm eating a little bit more, but I want my mom. Like, she's gonna make this all better. She's gonna make this go away. And to know that that didn't happen, it was like really heartbreaking.
I want to read something here. It's in your book. The overall nature and attitudes of most New Yorkers I met were not at the level of friendliness I was used to in South Carolina. There are many things, different ethnic groups. I was African American, but have been mistaken for Hispanic or mixed with Asian or Caucasian. Being light skinned with green eyes, and nappy sandy hair, and did not exactly scream black girl, but I grew to be a bit prejudiced against Hispanics. I was at the lunch table next to the group of them one day when almost immediately they switched from English to Spanish. I asked kindly, why did you immediately change your language when I came around? That's rude. You said that's rude. Yeah. One response was not so friendly, told, maybe you're talking about you. I immediately got defensive and was determined at some point to learn the language. Did you ever learn the language?
I understand it. I understand, maybe it's 1 or 2 words in a sentence, but I definitely understand a lot more than I did then. But it was a culture shock, in South Carolina. It was just, it all took place in Orangeburg, South Carolina. So coming to New York was a culture shock, and down south, like, we leave our car doors open, like, everybody's friendly, everyone speaks. Coming to New York, it was just like, these people are mean, like, it's just very impersonal. And again, it was just like the cultures, the many different religions, and not even so much religions, but the many different, ethnicity groups. So I'm like, what are these people and what are these languages that they're speaking? So that was something that, I was challenged by in many instances. Most of my neighbors, they are amazing, and they were Spanish. So I think that when there's something of a weakness within you, just in general as a person, it will, you'll go through different stages of your life of it being a bother to you. You're antagonized by it, or it could just be that one moment that you need help, and it's that one Spanish person or that one Hispanic that will be there as my savior. And that was how I kind of overcame that prejudice feeling that I had, because I'm like, it was just one person who made.
Well, that's true. That's true, and everybody's not that way.
No, absolutely not. So definitely came far with that, and again, I hang on to it, and that'll always be something, because I try to be very. This was a very raw, authentic, and in its purest forms of how I felt. And using these things, I would actually have many conversations with people where it's like, they're like, oh, I don't like this and I don't like that. And it's like, well, why? Like, I mean, you should have some concrete, evidence to go with it, and then have an open mind outside of that.
Also, too, I get into the gossip. There's a very special man in your life, named Chase. Could you describe Chase to us?
Chase was my first crush, my first love. Chase was, he was an outlet for me. From grade school, well, I would say as soon as I came to New York, so elementary school. So because I suffered with depression, he was an escape. So he was like someone that I marveled over. I would go to school and I was like a tomboy. So I had like all of these male friends, and they would, beat me up or whatever, and we'd body slam each other. But he would always like come to my rescue. But he became someone that I looked at as, when I'm depressed and I'm crying and I'm in this dark room at home, trying to understand what took place with my mom. I'm here in New York, the big city, and because my family, where we come from, we're not comfortable with talking. Like, that's a generation where it's just like, listen, forward moving, what you thought you saw, you didn't see. They stuck me in counseling. So I was embarrassed, I was ashamed, and when I came to this school, I was just like, oh, wait, no one knows me, so now I can actually have this whole different energy.
Chase kind of brought you, do you still talk to Chase?
I do still talk to Chase. And this was, wow, this was like 15, 16. And again, he was one that, I mean, It was a payphone. We didn't have a phone in the house.
Oh yeah,
And it would be in
no
the
cell
dead of
phones.
winter.
Oh, glad he didn't have that.
No phone. It
Go
would be
ahead.
in the dead of winter,
Mhm.
and because of the stresses that were going on in the house, I would go out and it be bundled up, and it would be snow on the ground, and he would call me at a payphone, and we would talk for at least an hour before my curfew ended. But again, he got me through, and he got me by, and that was what I had to do. Even to this day, sometimes when I find myself slipping, I have to hang on to something, you know. It was at one point where I used to drink alcohol. I would hang on to alcohol.
That's
you know?
that's another thing. You were addicted to
Yes.
alcohol later
Anything
on.
that was a pain reliever, or even if it was temporary, it was something that I needed to do just to get to the next moment, you know. So it wasn't the next second or the next hour, but sometimes it was the next second. But again, he was like a really good friend to me. His family, I got to know his family, and we just became, like, my friends became my family. So yes, he was my crush, and over the years we became really good friends, but I felt like he was more like, he grew to be more of a family member to me, so.
Your relationship. You went to South Carolina, and your aunt was, your grandmother was dying at that time, right?
Yes.
And you wanted to see your father. How about your relationship with your father?
It's very strained. My father is, he's always been absent. So even when my mom was here, he would come around like once a month or so. He was very volatile, and he was, under the influence a lot. So when I turned 18, I don't think I was as angry, because when my mom died, he walked out as well. I was still searching. I wanted a father, I wanted the living relative that was alive and kicking to be something more to me. So when I turned 18, I went down south to see his mom, because I've always had a really good relationship with the family other than him. And
Sometimes it happens that way.
Yeah. So they gave me something, and I guess that kept me as well. When I went down south to see him, we searched his family, I told him we were coming. We went around to all of the locations in which we knew that he would be. We couldn't find him. It wasn't until the Greyhound bus was leaving to come back to New York, and he chased the bus down. Oh, I just need to see them. And the bus driver was like, oh, you got 5 minutes. So my brother, he just was angry or whatever. But, past that, we had a quick moment, and I was all excited, and my brother was just like, let's go. They never really had a good relationship. And then when I was 23 or 24, right after I had my daughter, my grandmother was, she was dying, and she says, I need to see you. You have to come. And I was like, you know what, I was ill. Well, I wasn't ill, but, pregnancy was rough. So I said, if you could just hold, I didn't know she was gonna die, that's what it was. But once I had my daughter, I said, hey, I'll come down once she turns 2 months. And when I came down, it was an amazing experience. Got to see my dad. He was actually even able to hold my daughter. And again, all of these things created
He held your daughter.
He held my daughter, and the look, I actually even have a picture to this day, the look that he had when he looked into her eyes, it gave me that feeling that he was holding me, or that was a memory of that he was having when he was holding me. And I just knew that it was gonna just skyrocket from there. Like, it can't get any worse. And sadly enough, he would continue to either call me once every 2 years. Yeah. We'd have a short period of time where it would be close, but
I want to ask you I'm going to read something from the book again. Read on. My daughter's family was having a reunion in Jamaica, and she and I were getting ready to go. It was a day before we were set to leave, and we were getting ready to visit my grandmother before our trip. As we got dressed, I heard a commotion going on at the door. It's short. What happened after that?
So, my grandmother, again, it's a long line or a long history of alcohol abuse. So, and again, this is the enabling. Me and my daughter was getting ready to go with her family, and I think my grandmother has this, she gets jealous because the time is not now.
Oh, she got to get the attention. Mind somebody else, Professor.
Yes. So, it took a while. Like, it took me now, after having reliving, looking at it from different perspective. I get it. Like, now she's very jealous. So she came over that night. She was so drunk. She was bare feet.
They said she was pissy drunk, right?
Yes.
Okay.
She was barefoot and she was running through the block, and I didn't live in like right across the street was like a halfway house. You know, so, and I like to go in, I didn't speak to anyone, say hello, I'm very cordial, but she came through the block screaming, and I'm gonna get my granddaughter, and you know, y'all say something, and I'm sitting there like, so I heard something, but I didn't know it was her. So my neighbor came from downstairs, and she says, I think that's your grandmother downstairs. So I said, are you serious? My grandmother had played as if she fell and hit her head on the gate of of where I lived. And everybody was around her. I was like, oh, I'm going to call the cops. You know, well, I'm sorry, we're going to call 911. I'm going to help you. Yeah. And she's just out, just laid out. So I was so furious. And this was the day my daughter, I felt like I became the child and my daughter became the mother. Mm-hmm. I came downstairs and I looked at her and I was like, get up. I can't say that.
Get but up. That beat, we don't have no delays here.
So, you know, everybody looked at me like, and then she got up. Thank y'all so much. Thank y'all. You know, and I'm looking at her like, get upstairs. And I was like, thank y'all so much, you know. And then it's now I felt, you know, it felt weird because now I felt like I had to speak to people in the neighborhood when I didn't see them, you know. Mm-hmm. So anyway, got her upstairs and she's pushing and she's falling all over the place. And I was just so irritable because I'm like, every single time, every single time there's meant for me to be happy. Every time there's like, I'm planning something, I always kind of make sure that she's okay, my brother's okay, everybody's okay.
But you know something in the book. You know, I was reading. I read the book. I'll tell you the truth, folks. I could not put this book down. It was a very good read, and I read a whole bunch of books. You know, people would come, well, read my book. I want to go in the end. This one really touches my heart.
It continues to touch mine.
You said that in here. You said they said that God does things for a reason. I believe it. I believe that we're giving things in His time when we will fully appreciate them and understand them. He sends people into our lives to help us recognize things about ourselves for personal growth through my accountament with people. I have been able to recognize their purpose afterwards and pull out the good. Chase's father. No, not Chase. Not Chase. Your Star's father. How did you meet him?
Actually, we went to high school together, believe it or not.
Okay.
I went to high school with him, and
we pulling a whole lot of stuff out today.
I know.
I said I read the book. Yeah, I don't read everybody's books now. Go ahead.
We met in high school, but my first high school was Dodge. So it was at one point it was like all girls. So when I got there, it was probably like 9 guys and the rest females. Mm-hmm. And the atmosphere, I wasn't comfortable. I was like, this is not going to work for me. I mean, I had women or whatever that was like, you know, dykes, and they were, you know, I just knew it was going to be fun.
Not the rock and roll group.
Not the rock. So I just knew, like, and then it's like what I went there for, I was just not, you know, happy or whatever. Mm-hmm. So, but I remember him being, it was like maybe 9 guys mm-hmm. in, you know, in the lunchroom. That was the first time I saw him, but we didn't meet there. It wasn't until a friend of mine that I went to elementary school, maybe 2 or 3 years later, we used to like hang out, party or whatever, and she was like, oh, one of my brothers, he lives close to you. And I was like, really? She introduced us to whatever, and then it was just like, again, it was when I was in a space.
It was Chase. No, not Chase. It was, I'll give you guys mixed up. It was Star's father, right?
It was Star's father, yeah. Yeah, and you know, again, it was in that time, like I was in the middle, I didn't have a place to stay.
That's another thing though, too. You know, I don't know. You know, I can stay all day long talking about this. And I may have to bring you back another day because to be continued. Because I got so many questions to ask you.
It's like I felt like you said, you read that piece, and that was you know, very it was the glue to moving into meeting him, because a lot of people that I've met along the way that helped me to get to the next level. It was just that, and it was always something small. Like he was just there, like I was, you know, in fashion shows, and I was working, and I was going to school, and you know, so he drove, and he's like, if you ever need a ride, I can always just get you from point A to point B. So that supportive system, that hey, you found an apartment, okay, I need to help you, you know, I can help you move. I got a truck, I know this person. Always those connections, you know, and always good people, and that's how we met, and it became just a real good friendship.
Isn't that nice? So, isn't that nice, everybody?
Yeah.
You know, people have to. Sometimes you got to be friends first before
Absolutely.
become
Well, you know, lovers.
It holds a lot more weight.
Yes,
You know,
I think
your
also
respect.
more respect. You know, because you mentioned that Star's father has been very consistent on this ride with me, and what I need to succeed, achieve, and make money to take care of my household. Many men, if you succeed, many men are jealous.
Yes.
They're very jealous. You know, he's not jealous of me, right?
No comment.
Oh, okay.
I wouldn't comment on it.
Okay. No. But when you found yourself, this is very important, when you went through alcohol dependency, a whole lot of that.
Anything to avoid taking pills. Because when I went to therapy, they would always quickly say, oh, Prozac, this will help you. And I didn't want, I knew what my family went through. I saw what they went through with the drug abuse and the alcohol abuse. And for some reason, I felt like with alcohol, that was definitely still a touch, you know, it was an abuse. But I felt like if I could, you know, drink enough water, flush my body out, I'll be fine. You know, with certain types of drugs, even if it's prescribed, you don't know what your body will respond to. So I tried everything, and I said I knew God had a purpose because He stepped in when He stepped in to help or save me. Although He couldn't save my mom, I had to get past and break through the barriers.
On that note, we would like to thank you very much for joining us on the LMS show. And as we're going to keep our word, we're going to have you come at a future date, okay? Because we're really exciting about this story. And you have a very, you know, it's something that you went through. And as I said, I read 100 of books. You know, I love them all, but this one really touches my heart. And I would like to thank you so much for joining us today. You mentioned the goal is to motivate and inspire.
Yes.
And I thank you for your, I'll leave that out because we're public access, of this read is so dear to me. This is a true story on my journey thus far. I am still a work in progress, healing and learning, but I am on my way. With God's grace, I will continue to heal and live out my destiny and inspire you. I thank you so much.
Thank you.
Rebecca.